Good morning, everyone. How are you? This is Enrique Sanchez, the founder director of Spanish United. Today we have a very special guest. We have the mayor of Half Moon Bay, where recently there was a mass shooting a few days ago. And would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the audience?
Good morning. I'm Deborah Penrose, Mayor of Half Moon Bay.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on the show. I truly appreciate it.
Of course.
Yes, I've been following closely with what's been going on with Half Moon Bay, and it's like a complete shock that we've had two mass shootings practically like one day from another. Like I'm close to Monterey Park, which is about 20 minutes from where I live, and then what happened in Half Moon Bay. So the audience wants to know how has been the situation been going, and how is the victims and the community keeping on holding through.
Well, I think we're still in a state of shock. There was a saying, a Monty Python saying, "No one expects the Spanish Inquisition." And that was the first thought that came to my mind when I thought about Half Moon Bay. Nobody expects a mass shooting in our lovely, beautiful, quiet, peaceful Half Moon Bay coastal town. But we are a town of, I like to think of as a town of volunteers. Everybody gets involved when something like this happens. Everybody feels that they have personally been touched by this tragedy.
Yeah, I was reading that Half Moon Bay. It's a very nice community. It's a surf town, and it's like a home field place where everyone knows everybody, and it just surprised me. And what gets me is that how the incident happened. From what I've been following, the person that did the shooting, he was formally terminated from his job, and that's what he did, or are they still doing the ongoing investigation?
It's still ongoing. There are rumors abounding, but the sheriff has said that it was a disgruntled employee. They did not say former employee, but disgruntled employee. It came as something of a shock to a lot of us to realize that there was a Chinese farm worker community here in Half Moon Bay. When we think of our farm working community here, we're all very well acquainted with the Hispanic community, the Latinx community.
Right.
And we have worked hard as a city council to be inclusive and to try to have the 30% of our population, which is Latinx, speak up and be more actively a part of our community.
Right.
Chinese community is different, so it's a double tragedy.
Well, yeah, of course, because in the United States, it's like very rare when you have a mass shooter that's Asian. It's like it gives more of a shock to people, because usually the profile is of a certain demographic, and it was a shock to everybody, that this happened.
Yeah.
And one thing about Spanish United is that we cover issues relating to Hispanic civil rights and Hispanic people. And this has touched the Hispanic community a lot, because a lot of Hispanics, were also victims of a mass shooting last year with the Uvalde tragedy, where 21 people were assassinated in cold blood.
Yes.
And then a couple of years ago, there was another mass shooting in Texas where white supremacists went into a Walmart and killed 45 people. I'm thinking it was 45 people, but it was basically domestic terrorism.
Yes.
But the concern that we have is that this has become the norm, where we don't know where a mass shooting is going to happen. Gun control really needs to happen because, we can't continue to have more people dying, just for the irresponsibility of the NRA and a few people.
No, and it's not just control. That is one thing that we can and should and need to be working on, is getting that bill passed, President Biden, get it to his desk, get it past the Assembly and past the Senate onto his desk. That's one step. The bigger and more important step that we need to take is to really look at the fact that our country is made up of the haves and the have-nots,
Mm-hmm.
and that this economic disparity is not just money that people don't have. It's money, services, support, education, health care, mental health care,
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that the non-wealthy, the majority of people living in our country suffer with on a daily basis.
Correct, and that is a concern because when you have a huge income gap and where people don't have a social safety net, people do get desperate, and they do resolve to these desperate measures. It's not an excuse, but if there was some more of a bigger social safety net, a lot of these things will be prevented. Like for example, like in other countries that are in the developed world, you do have people that have and have nots, but the gap is much smaller. And also that the fact that the government invests more in social services. So in case someone loses their job, they don't have to worry about how they're going to live, how they're going to pay their rent, or if they need access to mental health programs, they have it there. And that is something that I've noticed, in the last 20, 25 years, especially here in California, that a lot of services have disappeared. And then a lot of that's the reason we have this homeless issue. Primarily is the lack of a social safety net, and the fact that we don't have rent control in many places. You have landlords that they could just evict people and displace people, and people don't have no one else to rely on, and then many people get angry, and they resort to these types of violence. It's like I feel that a lot of these two tragedies could have been prevented if there would have been, number one, strict gun control, and number two, people having access to mental health and social services, when they don't have other people, because a lot of Americans don't realize that not everyone has family. It's the moral and ethical thing to do is that if someone loses, their job or their income or the place to live, that they could rely on family. But that's not the case in many instances. So people don't have nowhere else to turn to. And if they don't have like the government, or at least some type of a safety net to rely on, at least temporarily, until they're able to get themselves back on their feet, it would prevent people from doing desperate things.
Yeah, I think the thing that we don't really understand, and maybe it was brought out in the last presidential election before President Biden, was the amount of anger that people feel, and it's not just our Latinx community. It is everyone who suffers from poverty.
Mhm.
And that is, I don't know the numbers, but I do know that it is not well known. It's not well talked about, the number of people who are living just at the poverty level. We have more children in our country who are living on the poverty level than anywhere else. Our health care for our children is horrendous. We have been very lucky here in Half Moon Bay. We've got a nonprofit called Sonrisas, which provides dental care. But some of these kids that come in for dental care, um, they're living with abscesses in their mouths, and they live with abscess teeth in their mouths for years in chronic pain until they can get to our nonprofit dentist and get that taken care of.
Mhm.
But these are human beings. These are kids.
Of
It's
course.
it's horrendous, and we don't see it. We
Mhm.
don't see it. We prefer to look at the our upper middle class, and forget that we used to have a middle class as well, and
Mhm.
we're either wealthy here or we're impoverished.
Right, and that is a major factor in the United States today, nationwide, is that the middle class has practically disappeared. Um, and the middle class was the backbone of our economy, the fabric of our society, where even those that couldn't make a lot of money, but at least they were able to cover their basic necessities and have a comfortable life. But that has disappeared primarily because a lot of factories have shut down, a lot of places have gone overseas, and a lot of people have left without work, and many people don't have an education beyond a high school level. So like when you don't have an education to get a better job other than working with your hands, it does create a lot of poverty. Like I've traveled and lived in the Midwest for a couple of years, and that's the Rust Belt. That's where the backbone of our manufacturing used to be, and most of the people there don't have anything because they can't do anything else. They don't have an education. They don't have any type of skill. And then when you have the far right that uses that to exploit these people that are desperate, it causes these people to do a lot of things like blame minorities, they blame immigrants, they blame the liberals. It's like it's a lot of propaganda that a lot of people believe that the rich elite is taking away um, everything that people worked for in the United States and giving it to other people that are not citizens. So, I feel that if there is more investment, like you said, in education and healthcare and mental health, at least it will prevent people from doing these types of things, because it's gotten to the point that it's no longer shocking. It is shocking, but it's no longer shocking that these types of things happen. It's like a thing that happens almost every day, and it really needs to stop, because it's affecting everybody. Even people that are not directly associated with poverty or with mental health are being affected by it, because you don't know when all of a sudden you could be in a restaurant, or you could be in a place of worship, or you could be in your backyard and you have someone do something like this and you have to run for your life. It's very traumatizing.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. The statistics are that there were 467, I believe, mass shootings in 2022 here in the United States of America. That's more than one a day. That's almost 1.5 mass shootings every single day of the year. There have been over 30 so far, and January's not even over.
Oh, I know.
So
It's way too many within the same month.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy indeed. So as mayor of your town, um, how are the people holding on? And have you been getting like a lot of calls from concerned citizens about this issue of gun control or this type of issue?
No, for the most part, what I'm getting are calls from people who are asking how they can help. That's one of the wonderful things about Half Moon Bay, is that even though some people are unaware of the poverty, when it's brought to their attention, when they see the living conditions that some of our neighbors have to live in, they care and they want to do something about it. And so we have had an outpouring of donations, and of people calling and just asking, what is it can I personally do to make this thing better? The I think we're still in this sort of state of shock where people haven't really looked to say, well, gee whiz, what causes all this? Why did it happen here? I think we're just reeling right now.
That's good. And have the people have been able to have access to like counseling, are there counseling services available for people?
Absolutely, yes. We have a group in town called ALAS. It's a Spanish acronym, and it is a Latinx group that works with the agricultural workers in our town and in our county. We live on the coast, and our agriculture workers really don't just work and live in Half Moon Bay. It's also just south of us and just north of us. And they have been active in town here for about maybe 5 years, maybe 6. They feed families every week. I think last week they fed 300 families with organic produce that is grown on the farms here. So yes, there is help. They have mental health counselors, and we have recently been given a grant by the county to have a traveling bus to help with mental health and health concerns, as well as education and training that goes out to the farm workers community and does direct work there.
That's very good. That's very important because when people go through these types of tragedies, people need to have access to mental health because at least people are able to deal and cope with the situation, and then the healing process begins. So I think that's
Yes.
very, very important.
Yes. Yes.
And one of the things that Spanish United does is that we help people. Like we're very active in helping the homeless population in Los Angeles and nationwide, through our chapters, and also to try to do an intake with different people, and those that have fallen through the cracks, that are not been able to get assistance through the system, particularly like Hispanics that they don't have any status. And this is where we come in, and we provide food, water, medicine. We are a small grassroots organization. We don't get that many donations, but we try to do what we can for the community, because I feel that a lot of Hispanics tend to be excluded when it comes to a lot of things, not just in terms of economics, but also in representation. And that's what we are doing. We're trying to pass bills to get minority protection for Hispanics that face Hispanophobia on a daily basis. It's like the biggest form of racism in the United States right now is Hispanophobia, which a lot of people are not aware of, but it's a big issue. So that's one of the things that we try to bring awareness to. And like I said, Spanish United is definitely here for Half Moon Bay. And if there's anything that we can do on our behalf, on my behalf, please let us know. We are here to assist.
Thank you. I can't tell you how much that means, Enrique, to hear that you're out there working for the Latinx community. It cannot get enough support. And although we try to do our best here in town, it's a United States problem. It's not just Half Moon Bay.
Oh yes, absolutely. Like right now, I am in communication with the mayor of Monterey Park, and to
Yes,
see what we can do on our side to assist the people there as well.
great, great. Thank you.
And I wanted to tell you thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate your time. And as soon as I'm done here, I will send you the link, and you could share it with whoever you want to share it with.
Thank you very much, Enrique. It was very, very pleasant meeting with you. And even though it's difficult, it's nice to feel that you're reaching out.
It's my pleasure. Anything that we can do to assist, we're here.
Okay,
Have yourself a wonderful day.
you too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.